So if the gold goes to $144,000 per ounce, the US government will be able to completely pay off the national debt, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But this will have a major caveat for the US dollar. Let me tell you about the biggest scam in life. When people are poor, all they want is to get rich. When people get rich, all they want is to not look poor. So what they do, they buy all the stuff that makes them look wealthy. Then everything that they want is to protect their wealth. So they hire all the security and they hire bodyguards and they build high fences. They distance themselves from the normal people. At this point, everything that they want is just to have a normal life. It's a full circle, my dear friends. Everything starts from having nothing, being no one, and don't need anything to go back to the exact same spot. Just it takes the whole lot of things to happen to realize it. Just think about it. Why would you need to dream about being rich when you're poor? Months later, just realizing that all you need is to not look poor because you already made the money. Months later, just to realize that everything that you need is to protect yourself. And months later, to realize that everything that you actually need and want is to have a normal life. It's absolutely unbelievable how this is true, how this works, and how many years it takes for every single celebrity, famous individual, wealthy individual to realize it. Just think about it. Especially people who, let's say, have a very, very poor upbringing. They didn't have money when they were young. A lot of these people peaked in their careers probably mid-age, and there are just a couple of years where these people actually spend money on nice clothes or jewelry, and after that everything became normal. Just look at David Beckham. In his early career, everything was fashion, nice clothes, Rolex watches, suits, haircut, hairstyles. Now the guy's like living in like farm. He's like a beekeeper. He has like a small farm with. He doesn't care about all this stuff, right? Sure, there's different element of the society where people are groomed and they grew up with nice life, right? They're born in nice mansions, born with private security. They're born with private drivers, private chefs. But I honestly think these people are the least appreciative to all these material possessions. Because what does another Ferrari makes difference in your life? Absolutely none. But for normal people like us, everything is the full circle. Everyone wants to be rich. When you're rich, everything that you want is to not look poor because you already made the money. How I'm gonna show the other people I made the money? Stop looking poor. Then when you're already looking rich and you're rich, the next step is how I'm gonna protect myself. Hire the bodyguards, build high, tall fences. When you start living this life, you realize that that's not what I was expecting. I want to have a normal life right now. This is why people are, firing the security guards. Remember that currently Treasuries has a major pile of gold in Fort Knox, but the revaluation process of the actual gold, it stays at the levels of $42 an ounce. This was the last revaluation in 1973. There is a process between the Treasuries and the Federal Reserve where they revalue the position or the value of the gold. The last pricing or revaluation was at $42. Current prices of the gold is not $42 per ounce. So this means is that if the US government if the President Donald Trump actually want to reevaluate the gold again, which means they're going to open the books, they're going to revalue the amount of gold times the current prices, and then the Treasury will effectively make a transaction with the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve will give the amount of gold valued at the current prices. Could be $800 billion. This will be free money for the government. And this is only at the current prices. If the prices of the gold per ounce go higher, it will get much easier for the government to capitalize and essentially pay off debt using it. In some way, you had an asset that appreciated, but because it's the government owning the asset, they don't really have to sell the gold to capitalize on the appreciation. It's like, we bought this gold, now this gold worth this much, give us the appreciation in form of a payment, like a dividend type of payment, but we still have the gold and we have the payment. It's absolutely amazing. It's like you're buying a house for 400,000, the house now worth 4 million. You sell the house, you get the 4 million appreciation, but you still keep the house. It's the best deal ever, right? But again, it's a long process. It's not for sure. But remember how Elon Musk and DOGE actually went to Fort Knox to see if the gold is actually there, the gold that was on the books, and probably this was one of the first step to making the step towards this. And this is very interesting because if you really think about it, every time when they did that, they did this 3 times in American history. The gold actually went up, but the dollar lost even more value. And this is good for the economy in some way, because if they're able to clear completely the US debt, right, there will be definitely a short-term storm. This is something that a lot of people are speculating in called reset. But this will clear a lot of the risks associated with government bonds, government debt. Maybe they will kind of restart the interest and the demand for buying bonds, treasuries, etc. Because at this current rates, it is so hard to find buyers when they issue a new batch of treasuries, long term or short term, right? Even the bond market has suffered a substantial decline in demand. Also, China dumped a lot of US bonds. So the idea over here is that this is indirectly, if you really think about the practicality, this is some form of a link back to the gold standard in some way. Why? Because you have an asset, which is gold, which appreciates and can always be cashed out by the government holding the asset without selling the asset, right? It's like, in some way, a money printer which was not producing anything for the last couple of years. The gold has been stuck, at least for the last 5-6 years, no significant appreciation. And this current rally we're seeing for the last year and a half is kind of paying off some future appreciation, and allows probably for plan B, because plan A for paying off the US government was, again, creating the Bitcoin reserve and pushing the prices of Bitcoin sky high. This is the speculation number 2, where a lot of people are speculating that there is a inherent interest for the US government to push the prices of gold higher, because their revaluation will give them even more money. So their gold will worth more if the price of the gold per ounce is higher. Like we started the video with, the price of $144,000 per ounce is effectively paying off the US national debt, which is, again, it's not a one-sided thing. There will be a major consequences, not only for the dollar, but you understand that every asset that could be or couldn't be reproduced effectively will change its value, right? Everything that could be printed, everything could be remanufactured, everything that couldn't be manufactured could see even a higher appreciation, like the Bitcoin, right? If you think about it, everything that has a limited circulation supply will have much higher value. Not because people believe so much in it, but there is nothing else to bet on if you see the actual reset. Think about this, right? This is plan A and plan B for paying off the debt. I don't know. It's interesting, but there's a lot of questions that no one can answer. No one knows what actually will happen if